Have you ever watched one of those art tutorials where someone draws a circle, adds a few lines, and bam, somehow there's a perfectly drawn face? So you try it, but your version looks off. The proportions are weird, the features weren't placed correctly, and you're just staring at it like, what happened? You're not alone, and no, you're not bad at art. You're just missing a few key things that maybe those videos didn't explain too well. But hopefully this video will help you grasp all the things necessary for you to draw the head and the face. So you probably learned to draw a circle, this weird cross thing, add a chin, and you're done. And that's not quite right. If you do that approach like I did here when I was 10 years old, you're gonna end up with not a lot of space for the facial features. So what are we actually drawing when you draw the circle? It's really important that you know what you're drawing and why. So what is the circle? The head? No. The skull? Not quite. The brain? That's honestly the closest answer, but no. This circle represents the neurocranium. It is this round part of the skull that serves to protect your brain. We draw this because it is a simple shape, which is something we're always trying to look for when drawing. I talk about looking for simple shapes in my How to Draw Anything video. I promise I don't bring up my older videos as promo. It's because this knowledge is useful in every area of art, and you'll benefit so much from it. Back to neurocranium, it's almost impressive just how close to a perfect circle this is, but it isn't. Note how it's slightly wider when seen from the side. Now, our work's not done. We still have to represent the rest of the skull, also known as the viscerocranium. So how do we do that? It's a bit more complicated than just drawing two lines to the side and then connecting them to form the chin. Take a second to observe. Really observe. Notice how from the front, the neurocranium sticks at the sides a little bit, and how from the side, the viscerocranium ends about halfway down the neurocranium. Don't just think of the lines as lines. Think of them as a representation of the viscerocranium. You can think of it kind of like a face mask in a way. It wraps around. It's a 3D object. If you think of it as just lines that connect with the side of the circle that you drew for the neurocranium, you won't know what to do when it's time to draw any angle that isn't a front angle. At least I did it when I was 10. I just connected the lines to the edges of the circle and assumed that it worked since it worked for the front view. It clearly didn't. Remember this mask shape and think that the viscerocranium is a 3D shape, even if you're just drawing a few lines. So, now that we have the two main components of the head in a simplified form, before getting too complicated, let's imagine these two basic elements in multiple angles. Front, side, 3/4, above, below. Cool. Now let's look at the skull again to add more detail. Notice the sinuses. There is a literal straight line in the middle. It divides the skull in two. This is what the line in the middle signifies. It is a symmetry line. It will also help with perspective when drawing the head in different angles, more on that later. Now look at the eye sockets. They are roughly on the bottom quarter of the neurocranium. Some say this line is roughly in the middle of the whole head. You can think of whatever helps you remember this placement better. The line will be around here either way. So we draw a line here. Notice how this line divides the viscerocranium and neurocranium almost perfectly. Now look at the area below the eye guideline. Divide that in half, and then divide the new section in half. We'll go back to this later. For now, let's draw the eyes. The tear ducts of the eyes should roughly align with this line. Basically, this horizontal line should be in the very middle of your eyes if you're going for a realistic style. Now imagine 5 equally sized ovals. Try to fit them in this space, following this line. Now count 1, draw an eye, count 1, draw an eye. That's where the eyes go. In short, eyes are roughly 1 eye apart, but also leave 1 eye of distance between the eyes and the hairline. A mistake I made a lot as a younger artist, and I still do this sometimes, is I don't leave enough space between the facial features and the hairline. So make sure you do that. Now here's the fun part. I love the human body because everything connects. If you align your finger with the edge of your nostril, your finger will most likely align with your inner tear duct. So draw a line from the inner tear duct all the way down to the jaw. Now we make use of this line that we drew. That's where the nose ends. And you guessed it, the bottom line is the mouth. The mouth corners usually align with the middle of the iris. Now for the ears, the bottom of the ears align with the bottom of the nose, and the top of the ears align with the middle of the eyes. The ears perfectly fit in this middle section. And for the neck, it aligns with the ears. Congratulations, you've just drawn like average human. These are the most average human proportions, or at least the proportions that artists have used for many centuries. When we talk about certain less common features like wide set eyes, big lips, round faces, etc., they get those names because they are being compared to the average proportions. We know, for example, what an acute angle and an obtuse angle are because we're comparing them to a right angle. This is one of those things people refer to when they say that you must know the rules to break them. So these average guidelines can be useful, even if the character or person you're drawing doesn't have these exact average features. And also, You can play around with these proportions to fit any art style. For example, this Monster High doll deviates a lot from John Beck Average Human. The distance between her eyes seems smaller, but her eyes are properly distanced. They're just really big. So big that her tear ducts don't align with her nose, also because her nose is tiny. And again, her eyes being bigger and her nose being tiny are adjectives that we can ascribe to this character because we are comparing her to the average proportions. These aren't flaws, and they aren't incorrect. No facial feature is ever incorrect. These are just measurements we keep in mind, especially if you want to keep a consistent art style. Moving on, her ears are way above her nose. Her neck is smaller, but despite this, I can still use the lines I used to find John's features to find hers. And with this new guideline skeleton we created, we can create a character that looks similar to a Monster High character, proportions-wise at least. I can use these guidelines to copy the facial features of an even more stylized character, like Chibi Gon over here. By the way, the notes I'm taking while tracing over these characters' proportions is how you do any kind of study, but specifically style studies. Understanding the relationship between all the characters' features and the choices an artist makes will help you mimic their style better, and it may help you discover some style choices you'd like to add to your own arsenal. It feels funny to be measuring Gon's skull, but this stuff is super helpful. Tracing over characters for people like this is a good way to take notes and elevate your observation skills. Here we have 3 different configurations of the skull and the facial features. I'm using the same principle, but yielding significantly different results. But if I'm allowed to place these guidelines anywhere to fit any style, why should I bother learning the average one? Sometimes when you get too stylistic, you risk making impossible poses that look broken or unappealing. Going back to basics is a good way to figure out where you went wrong. I recently saw a video where another artist talks about the pyramid of fundamentals. I'll put it on screen. This is basically what I'm referring to when I'm talking about this. That was off script. It was just a really good video. And it's ironic that I saw that while making this one. Going back to basics is a good way to figure out where you went wrong. In my critiquing your art video, I made use of these guidelines to rearrange the proportions of my followers' characters to look more anatomically correct. I don't get rid of their art style choices. I blend these average proportions with their art style to find a happy medium that is still reflective of their artistic vision but makes more anatomical sense. I'm gonna fix one of my old drawings making use of what I just taught you. Here's this drawing. I was so proud of it at the time, and that's okay. It's good to love your art at every stage of your art journey. Being a bit too prideful can stop you from growing though. And when I drew this, I thought I was the best artist ever, but I wasn't, and I'm still not. I have a lot to learn, and that's really exciting. Point being that if I never acknowledged that I wasn't as good as I thought I was, I would still be drawing like this. So yes, love your art, but don't be resistant to improvement in education because you become too attached, closed off, or prideful about it. If I had never acknowledged I needed to improve, I would have never improved. So, tangent aside, this piece has tons of problems. I mentioned earlier that the middle line that aligns with the sinuses is used to establish facial symmetry, but also the facial angle. This character seems to be facing to the left, but not all her facial features are facing the left. So the first thing I'm going to do is find the middle line, or the symmetry line, and I do that by finding the sinuses. So first comes the neurocranium, which is going to be slightly wider at this angle. Since I already drew the jaw, I can use that to find that almost middle line on the side of the neurocranium. Here I imagine the head sort of as a box, and try to estimate where the middle line is. I think it's somewhere around here. Now I make all my guidelines and yikes, my facial features are seriously not angled properly at all. So I adjust all the proportions to follow the guidelines, and now that everything is aligned, I can make some adjustments. I think this character was supposed to have wide set eyes, so I'm gonna separate her eyes a bit. And look at that! I followed the guidelines to fit the perspective and proportions, but my character still looks like herself. I have a few style choices to go against these guidelines. I like drawing thinner necks, bigger eyes, and I do sometimes give my characters significantly smaller neurocraniums, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it is good to know what your style choices are and what rules, quote unquote, you're breaking so you can do them consistently in an appealing way. If having appealing art is your intention, of course. You might see my speed paints though that sometimes I don't do these guidelines. I memorize these guidelines, so I just sort of imagine them and follow them in my head. I practiced drawing it exclusively in pen for a year to be able to do this, and even still, I will make some messed up unproportional drawings sometimes. So do your guidelines, don't be lazy like me. I promise your art will look so much better. So pop quiz to make sure you're paying attention. What are the parts of the skull? The neurocranium and the viscerocranium, or the facial bones. Okay, that's good. What does this line signify, and what does it align with? This is the symmetry line and it aligns with the middle of the face, or the thin bones in the middle of the sinus. Good job. When looking at the side of the neurocranium, where does the jaw or the side of the viscerocranium connect to? Roughly in the middle, slightly more front, right? Now what do the ears align with? Bottom of the nose, middle of the eyes. Nice. Now which one of these is wrong? None of them, actually. You can configure your head however you want to fit your art style. Go crazy. But preferably, you'll want to go crazy with some guidelines in place to at least have a consistent design. What do the edges of the nose align with? The inner tear duct. And the corners of the mouth? The iris. Okay, pop quiz over. How'd you do? Be honest. Anyway, that's what all those lines mean. Gone are the days of drawing guidelines that you're just gonna ignore, and gone are the days of just doing things because other artists do them without understanding why they do them. Now that you have this knowledge, all that's left to do is put them in practice and draw. The next lesson will be on hair, and it'll be a fun one. I'm going back to university soon, so I'm gonna slow down posting videos to about once a week. I'm aiming for every Friday, but I may fit in speed paints and ASMR videos in between the big Friday uploads. Thank you for over 9,000 subs, and thank you for all the nice comments. I do want to mention that I go by they them pronouns, so a lot of you have been unknowingly misgendering me. It's okay, I'm not mad or offended. I just want to put it out there. Remember, all this advice is for those who want it. You can do whatever you want at the end of the day. I hope this helps those who do decide to follow my guidance. Thank you for watching.